Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. In the saga of the little outboard that didn't wanna, there it is. We have, some updates. One thing is that I found on a forum a very interesting piece of information from a Tohatsu technician. And I know this is a Nissan, but it's Tohatsu, it's all the same. And that is that the oil, it's a pressurized oil system, and it runs around 14, 18 at low RPMs and goes up to like 48 PSI at high RPMs. And one of the things that happens is that if your oil is full, over full, even a little bit, even just a little bit over full, like a teaspoon, it can cause aeration of the oil. And when the oil becomes aerated, it will cause basically an air pressure reading instead of an oil pressure reading, so you're not doing hydraulic, and then you'll get low oil pressure. And this is most likely to happen when the engine is hot. So potentially overheating or running lean at high RPMs tends to make things run hot. So, there's also thermostat issues that are possible and other stuff. So the working assumption that I'm on right now, after what I've done today, is that I'm going to go through my fuel system, change fuel filter, make sure everything's good there, and possibly do an acid flush of the water system if I can get a clamp on there and do it. I have to take the engine off to do that. There's no way to get a bucket under there the way it is. So what I did today is I warmed up the engine. The engine was fine. I didn't run it much because I knew that the oil was over full. So I ran it a little, and then we pulled the oil out and replaced the oil. While running it, while doing the warm-up, the oil pressure light came on as it's supposed to for the first couple seconds when you run the motor, and then went off and did not come back on. So we don't have a massive oil pressure problem at regular idle warm-up speeds. It was probably running hot on the long run on Sunday, Monday, whatever day of the week it was. And that's probably what happened. So I'm going to run on the assumption that we're dealing with fuel, because almost all the time with a carbureted outboard engine, if you're having a problem, it's fuel. Dirty carburetor, dirty fuel filter, water in the bowl so that when your lower jet opens, it doesn't work right, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and run a new fuel filter. I'm going to see if I can see water in the fuel when that drains. When you change it, you're going to lose a little gas. If I can find a drain in the bowl of this miniature little tiny carburetor, I will try to drain it. I may have to take the carburetor off to even try that, so I'm not sure about that. I could also run some heat, basically ethanol, a water absorber. That's why you don't use ethanol fuel in your outboard if you can avoid it, is because it sits for even a week in a marine environment and it absorbs a bunch of water and then corrodes everything in your engine. So heat is basically ethanol additive. I may run heat in the next tank, the next couple gallons of fuel to remove water. And then, some more Marvel Mystery Oil or seafoam or whatever, as usual, because you never know what you're getting with your gas. And because we are running the motor, actually running, it's not sitting for months at a time unused. I'm not worried about using the heat. It's not going to absorb a bunch of water out of the air. It's going to get used, burned, go through the engine. So that'll be the next thing we do. I'm still going to pull the plugs and look at the plugs if I can get to them, which means like turning the boat around into a slip. As you can see, we are on a face dock, a T-head, the end of a T, and we're facing a channel that goes out into the York River, and this is the end of the gale. So we're still dealing with occasional white caps and real waves and stuff in the river. So still pretty windy, still pretty rough. I'm not going to try to turn the boat and tie up the back, the aft, the butt here, right in there, so that I can reach the spark plugs and the fuel filter. I'll get there eventually, but it's going to be calm when I do that. So we're here for at least a couple more days. We might switch to the anchorage. We might do something else. We might decide that this is a good spot to deal with holiday shipping and a couple of minor projects that I would like to do that require long enough time for me to get shipping that's not 2-day shipping. Like I need 10-day shipping to get stuff from Catalina Direct. And I have a couple things I would really like to get. So we'll see. This might be a good spot to just wait out and get a weather window in December and move on that way. The further south we go, the warmer it gets, so it's always tempting to just go, run for it, and, get warm. But at the same time, it's totally fine for us to accept the fact that it is a warm fall so far, and just sit here for a little bit longer. When we do make the run, we should go fast enough to not have to deal with February storms on the Atlantic side. We should be able to get to the Gulf Coast. So we'll see how that goes. That's about it. So, weird little forum note that no one seems to have been able to find before is that your engine oil pressure light on these 9.8s can come on if your oil is full, over full, and the engine is hot and aerating the oil. So, magic, right? That's about it. We're doing fine. It's a beautiful day. You can kind of see for a gale, 55 degrees and 20 knots of wind and all that stuff. Stay sideways.